Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Historic and Architectural Review Board, May 7th, 2025 meeting. Membership on this board includes registered architect Joe Phillip, Nick Nikolov, architect, real estate brokers Diana Hodgson and Joseph McGavin, residents and business owners within the Historic District, Rodman Young, Connie Postupak, and Bethlehem's chief building official, Mike Simonson. HARB review includes the general design, arrangement, texture, color, and materials of the proposed work in relation to the similar features of the properties within the Bethlehem Historic District's period of significance. The buildings and homes of Bethlehem provide a physical record of their time and use. We thank you for coming and joining us in preserving our city's unique historic and architectural heritage. Mr. Phillips will describe the proposed changes as well as significant features of the building and describe the standards that apply to each project. Approved changes to the district structures are based on Bethlehem's Historic District guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. Applicants will present their proposal. Board members will ask questions or hold discussion with the applicant. Project presentations are limited to 45 minutes and 5 minutes for comments from each visitor. A motion is made and additional discussion may ensue before the vote is taken. The motion may approve the submission as made, approve with modifications, or deny with clear reasons why the proposal does not meet the qualifications. It may also be tabled with a list of clarifications needed to allow the board to make a COA recommendation. Recommendations made today may be acted upon by City Council at their next meeting, typically on first and third Tuesdays. No work can begin until council approval is received. Visitors, please sign in. There's a paper at the table right there. So if you have any comments on today's presentations. Is there any discussion regarding the April 2025 minutes? I'm sorry. None? Okay. Anyone make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. If there are no conflicts from the board, we will proceed with today's applications.
Okay, 438 High Street. You here?
They're not here yet.
All right. What about 438 Center Street?
That's me.
Okay, if you haven't signed in, please be sure to.
Yeah. I've never been to one of these before, so where do you want me to stand? Just
Come
on up
sit
there
here.
and have a seat.
Yeah.
All right. Try.
Just give me,
I know, it's not that bad.
give me a second. Give me a second to introduce. Okay. All right. The applicant owner of the property located at 438 Center Street proposes to remove aged vinyl siding from the back wall, which is the east facade, and restore the original brick masonry currently underneath the vinyl siding. Restoration is to include repair to any brick face and repainting as needed using appropriate materials and color. There's no color defined, but I'm assuming they're going to match. The home is a two-story smooth brick home topped with a cross-gabled roof fronting on Center Street and an intersecting gable roof that tops the rear portion of the home fronting Wall Street. There's a small one-story shed-roofed addition on the rear of the building. The three-bay Center Street facing facade is punctuated with 2/2 light double-hung windows on the first and second floors. The first floor windows are fitted with 3-panel solid shutters. The second floor windows are fitted with 2-panel louvered shutters. Main entrance door and transom window are slightly recessed on the first floor to the of the leftmost bay, and the recess is bordered by a pilaster surround and detailed wood brackets supporting a shallow projecting hood. The facade in the area work is a simple 1.5-story gable form above a shed roof that is over the 1-story rearmost portion of the home. Go ahead. You are.
All right.
You are the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Alex D'Angelo.
Okay. Okay.
All of the brick on the whole house is exposed and has been restored very nicely. It's all been repointed before we bought the house 2 years ago. And the only portion of the home with the brick that's covered is this area above the facade, the very back of the house. Vinyl siding was probably, I suspect, put on in the 70s or 80s. When we backed that up. And I know there's brickwork underneath because of the inside of the house, in the back sunroom, it's been exposed. And I'd like to remove all the vinyl siding and restore brick underneath. I unfortunately have no way of knowing the condition of the brick underneath. It's a little bit of a gamble.
So if it's damaged, or you obviously
I would
going
like
to
have it
repaired?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what are you going to do with trim around the windows?
Yeah, so the one window is original and is just covered with aluminum cladding. I've peeled back some of it and the wood looks like it's in reasonable condition. So I don't anticipate doing anything to it except for
Okay.
and then the one window that was newer, it depends on what we find underneath. But I would, assuming there's no wood trim underneath, I'd like to put wood trim to make it match the rest of the windows. Again, I don't know what's in.
So is that the one
That's
that's on the second
yeah,
floor, not the
exactly.
attic?
Exactly, correct. The attic is original, it's recessed, it's.
Okay. So do you think there's another window that,
I don't know.
so you can't tell from the inside?
No,
Okay.
yeah, there are, yeah. I can't tell.
So did you say the existing window trim has aluminum clad, and you're going to take that off and
And just-
repaint the wood? Okay, just making sure. Okay.
My question is what happens, what kind of restoration happens if the brick is not in good shape?
Yeah, so I talked to, the company that I'm hoping to have do this is Restoration Services.
Mhm.
And what Ryan was saying is that, it depends on what they find. He said there are multiple options available. He said that if there are some bricks that are crumbling and falling apart, they can, cut them out and replace them with some very appropriate bricks. I actually have a giant pile of old bricks in the basement of the house.
Oh.
That's great.
And then he said if it's just the mortar that needs to be redone, and they'll redo the mortar to match the rest of the mortar on the remaining brick. They also said if there's a lot of spalling, what they can do is they order all the product from Limeworks, which is a relatively local company that produces period appropriate stuff. They have like a veneer almost they can put to repair the spalling that would match the color of the brick.
But does it go on as a whole one surface, or is
I
it
don't
done
think
brick
so.
by
I think
brick?
it's done brick by brick.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because they're only going to do it on the bricks that are bad.
correct. That's exactly right.
Whereas
There's
it's not like they're going to stucco the whole side of the
That's
house.
exactly right. Exactly right.
Any further questions?
Alex, I'm your neighbor across the street. We haven't met.
Nice to meet you.
Finally, finally. I really applaud your effort to restore. Word of caution, when you rip it, of course, it's guaranteed there will be surprises, but I would like to recommend that you consider matching those those two windows, match them to the windows that are on the front and side, not on the aluminum siding portion of the house, but on the brick side of the house. And you will see that the sills probably will need to be new, because these are wooden sills, most likely painted white, as well as the headers. It's unlikely that they are in good condition. But they would. So you shouldn't. It's labor costs that you should be prepared for, not so much materials. And you will need to probably reflash the connection between the shed roof and the new brick. And again, a recommendation. Everybody has a theory about these things, but there is period appropriate way to flash, which is to inset the flashing in the border bed. I'm not in a position to say anything other than just a recommendation, because the typical thing around the area is to just use, off-the-shelf caulking. It will fail you, guaranteed, 2-3 years down the road.
I would like to keep it as
Yeah, but again, depends who you ask what is appropriate. You know, there will be people that come to you and say like, we know how to do it, and I would just recommend you do some research about these things.
Fair enough, thank you.
I would think, though, that Ryan knows.
He seemed like he was very
He's-
knowledgeable.
Yes.
You know that company.
Yeah, I know. They're working on our
She
house.
actually recommended him
Okay.
way back, probably don't remember.
Well, only because they're working on our project, too.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So just to pick up on what Joe was saying, if you have to repaint, you're going to repaint in the same color white.
Exact same color. Yep.
Would you consider shutters to match?
Ooh. So that, actually, that's a great question. I hadn't even thought about that.
Because you have shutters on the brick portions of the house.
Yeah, we do. That's a good question. I wouldn't do it, I think, with this project, because they'd have to be made and all of that. So I would apply for that separately.
Yeah.
Again, I would match
Okay.
it to exactly what we have for the rest of the house. But yeah, I hadn't thought about
In
that.
in the case of replacing windows, if it gets to that you would need to come back.
Yeah, yep.
But to save us time and effort, match your new product to as close as you can to the existing, not that existing, but the windows on the house. Yeah, to make it.
Is there any evidence inside that there was a window there that had been covered up?
So that's what Ryan was asking me that, because he warned, he said, look, we take this down, you may find that there was a window somewhere bricked up, but there's no evidence that I can find. There's nothing up in the attic that I can see, or anywhere else on the second floor.
Was it a sun porch or what was it? Before it
Um,
was, or has it always been a building? Or I mean, a room?
So you mean, which portion of
The portion that you're taking off, it looks like
Yeah.
there's probably a bathroom back there,
correct, yeah, that's
And
exactly
then,
what it is, it's a bathroom.
an attic above. So
Yeah.
it's just, the rear part of your house is just one big bathroom?
So no, they put closets, that's the master
Ah,
bedroom, and so that's all the closets on that whole wall.
Oh.
So I guess it's possible, that underneath the plaster there was a window that they covered up.
Interesting.
Is it plaster or was it drywall?
No, it's plaster. Yeah, it's plaster.
Sorry,
The new
man.
bathroom was drywall, but the closets are plaster.
It's likely that when he rips off the vinyl, there'll be another window popping up there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have
I don't
lots
know.
of bricks.
But if you're not changing the interior, would you consider just running the wall up?
Yeah, I think I'd probably consider just bricking it over, because it would just be a window inside of a closet. Yeah,
As long as it matches and you can't tell, we're cool, right?
Well, he's got bricks in the basement.
yeah, I'm not sure what they're from, but there's probably 500 bricks down there.
I would venture to say that probably you're also going to find that window in the back that's in the bathroom is not the original size. So when you open it up, you're going to see more work that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you can't go in and change the window because that would mean you'd have to modify the bathroom on the inside. So that's another thing that you might have to,
Yeah,
I would think that you're probably going to, because that window is probably not an old window, it's a newer window.
correct. That one is definitely new. It is, for sure. And Ryan didn't give me details on what, he said there are multiple ways to deal with that. One of the easiest is probably, he was recommending was just put trim around it to make it, to blend it into the brick without having to do new brickwork or change the whole window. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the options are with that, if that's something that.
But I don't think, because that's in your bathroom, right?
Yeah, that's in the bathroom.
Is that, and that's just, so that's been sheetrocked over.
Yes, yes.
So it's probably been studded out and covered up.
Well, in the event that he uncovers things and a lot more work has to be decided upon, should he just go to Mike or does he bring it back here?
I'm fine with administrative review.
What do you think,
It's
Joe?
up to you guys. I mean, I would assume it'd be what the extent of the work is
Right.
as well. I mean, if it's,
I think we're gonna have to leave it up to administrative review, because if he goes in there, rips that off and finds that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, he wouldn't have the time, he probably will not have the time to be able to come back to us
Yeah.
to submit and go through the whole process and then go to the city again, go to council for the certificate of appropriateness. So it probably should just be something that Mike is going to need. I mean, he knows what he needs to do, so it's not really.
And maybe, Mike, what you could do is consult maybe with,
yeah, I would consult Joe and you as I usually do.
yeah.
Right.
Alex, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
All right.
I
I just want to give you
appreciate
plan B, plan
Yeah,
C,
of course,
you know?
Of course, I appreciate you saying, because you're right, once they're there doing the work and they've ripped it off, then it would be
Yeah.
ideal to not have another 6 to 8 week period before I
Right.
can. move
Right,
forward
whereas
with
that's
it.
something that, if they have to slow up for 2 or 3 days to go see Mike,
Yeah, that's
it's
very
like not a big deal, but
Yeah.
because I would venture, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I venture to say that there was a bigger window there.
I would
I
agree
think that there's going to be a matching window on the other
on the
side,
other side.
because what's on the other side of the house there?
On the exact opposite side?
The opposite
Excuse me.
side of around the corner from what you're fixing.
Around the corner is,
Around that corner.
Facing north.
facing north. Yeah, there are two original old windows.
They're probably matching.
Yeah, they're matching.
Oh, good luck. Enjoy the process. It's the journey. Remember, it's the journey, not the destination.
But it'll be worth it when it's done.
That's what I think. I sit in the backyard and I look up there, and every time I just think, man, I
Yeah.
was looking at vinyl siding.
I look at my house
That's probably
all
because
the
somebody
time.
didn't want to spend the money to do it.
You're probably right. I suspect that when they put that sunroom on the back, that someone sold them on, yeah, let's just cover this up instead of doing something to it. But I don't know that for sure.
Cool. I motion to approve. Application as stated with the condition that should the scope of the proposed work change, the owner seek administrative review from city.
I think you say the scope of work for
What is
potential
presented.
replacement of windows or window areas underneath the
Well,
side.
anything outside what's proposed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made by Nick, seconded by Diana. Any further conversation?
Do we have to, should we put in there the types of, the levels of restoration that he's planning on doing? Meaning brick for brick, carving out, or?
It's in the minutes. It'll be in the
Okay,
minute.
all right. That's fine. Pardon me, I'm itching my nose.
Roll call vote. Connie,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
And Nick and Diana made the motion. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It'll be beautiful.
Oh, High Street is here.
I wish I could do that to my house.
Is High Street here?
House is
No.
covered.
Not yet? All right.
No, he's not here.
Okay, 521 Main.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll ask you later.
Yeah.
Your names, please.
Carol Green, Gina Hasselman,
I'll be your cookies.
Last name again, sorry.
Hasselman,
2 S's.
yes.
Mhm. Okay. The applicant of the property located at 521 Main Street proposes to install a new 36-inch by 21-inch blade sign. The sign will be double-sided and contain the name of the new business, Le Macaron French Pastries. New window decals totaling 4.3 square feet will also be installed. You guys probably remember this building from a previous application next door. The first floor street level storefront facade is characterized by flanking angled bay windows with a framing glass entrance door in the center. The cornice tops the storefront and runs the full length of the building facade from left to right. Panels with an arched composition are located above each storefront and are separated horizontally by an ornamented pilaster. A heavy cornice is located above the panels and separates the building's base from its brick and cut stone body above. And an interesting note I found, it was this was the city's tallest building from 1893 to 1922.
No.
It's all yours.
Taller than Hotel B?
Well, from 1839 to 1922, it's said. That doesn't mean my source is right, but
I like your French pronunciation too.
yeah, is it right? I don't know.
So explain what you're doing here.
So these are vinyl window decals.
Oh, okay.
They'll be applied on the outside of the windows as shown in
Oh, I see them now.
the
Okay.
one per window. There's four. And these are brand standard.
Okay, and then this sign goes.
Yes, so the sign is going to come straight out. It's a blade sign.
Mhm.
So it'll be a 2-inch pan, such as this. So if you are the storefront, this would be hanging perpendicular.
And that's being installed in the center of the arch.
A little bit offset because there is a camera in the center. In the pictures, there's a camera. It shows right there. So we'll be doing it to the left of the center of the doorway.
How far to the left?
Halfway between like the window and the camera. So it might be like.
In your estimation, what will be the distance, the clearance height from the step to the bottom of the sign?
100 inches.
Yeah, so that's more than
Yep,
96, yeah. Cool. And just for reference, for context, 3 feet 6 from the facade, it will protrude, right? The sign will be 3'6".
Correct. The
42
sign
inch.
itself will be
Yeah.
3 feet.
Um,
It'll be 6 inches, the space between the building and the sign.
Yeah. Looking at that image, would you say this is about that much? Like, I just want to know if it will be,
Well, Nurse Wellness is 36 inches.
okay.
That Nurse Wellness sign.
And that
It's
probably
36
sticks out, well,
inches.
4 inches. Okay, got
but
it.
Doesn't, that's 36 inches directly from the building.
Yeah.
This will have a 6-inch
A
arm.
little bigger.
But the sign itself is the same height.
Sounds good.
Can you just repeat? Sorry, I was writing the height from the step to the underside of the sign. Was it 100
100 inches.
even? Okay.
But this is going to sit higher than the nurse wellness
It will-
sign.
It will sit the same height. It will be.
Oh, it's
directly-
not going in these arches.
It will actually sit lower than the nurse wellness sign. See, see how it's mounted under the,
Here's the picture.
what would you say, that coffered ceiling there or whatever that?
Yeah, so what's gonna happen is there's gonna be an arm that's gonna be mounted to the underside of the ceiling.
Right.
The ceiling. And that is gonna hold, it's gonna have an arm, and the arm is gonna be attached, just like my arm is here, to the blade sign.
Roughly the same height, slightly lower.
So between just from this end.
The nurse wellness sign is about 98 inches from the bottom of the sign to
And then this one is
100, but
100, but it's longer.
Yeah,
It's 21
probably
inches.
The pavement is
the
sloping.
sidewalk slopes.
Oh, yeah. Pavement slopes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's 123 inches from the pavement to the underside of the.
Why are you not using a scroll bracket like the rest of the retailers on Main Street?
Because we cannot put, this for the landlord, we cannot use any of this area up here. And if we can't use a scroll bracket because it will cause the sign to hang lower.
Has a
Required.
discussion happened with the landlord about a scroll
Yes.
bracket?
The discussion has happened with the landlord about many different options of signs. And they will not allow us to do anything above this.
On the green. Now,
Right.
initially, the initial application that was filed was to have on the exterior column
Mhm.
to install a scroll bracket there with the sign hanging down.
Yes,
And we were told that we couldn't do that because
Why?
of the storm.
that's incorrect. And this is the problem I'm having with this sign, as well as the sign next door. I think we did the nurse's sign. I think we did every retailer on Main Street a great disservice by not insisting that the landlord come in here and we have a discussion about the scroll bracket.
Well, so would we be able to put a scroll bracket into the column?
Most definitely.
Okay,
Just like the other storefronts.
I think that's what we initially.
Okay, I'm losing you. Ooh, which column?
So here, on that side, up top,
Oh, right behind the light fixture.
yes.
I see. But on the column that matches this column.
Yes, so it would be on this column here.
Mhm.
Yeah, to each the columns to each side of they're flat pilasters.
Why
really,
couldn't you do it here? Why couldn't you do it between the windows? It may be too low, but
Between the windows, because it would be right next to the
The
nurse
nurse
wellness
wellness
sign.
sign, right. So what did he say?
I mean, even on the other side, you know.
Well, on the other side, we have the Le Petit
So-
Gourmand sign, which hangs down lower.
Right,
Right.
we surveyed the other side, like to,
Yes.
and that window frame, we'll say, will not hold up the sign. It is not structurally able to hold this sign. So that's why we came up with the idea that the bracket would be underneath the ceiling, mounted to the ceiling and come straight up. And that is feasible, structurally.
Sorry to make it an impasse, but I'm dead set against this sign as it is.
Well, and the guidelines are clear about
Yeah.
brackets.
Yeah.
Say that again.
The guidelines, our guidelines that we've posted have a
too
clear
thick. It needs to be
specification of a
yeah.
bracket.
just keep in mind what they're calling columns. They're fluted pilasters to each side of that center panel, so they are fluted. I don't know if they're fluted all the way. You have a better
But they
picture.
can't hold. As a matter of fact,
See any flute?
Is it masonry?
I think it's intended, but it's not
Very,
there.
Mm,
The,
It is.
the,
From there down, it's fluted.
around this archway,
Plaster.
is that,
When you look at it from the
they're
front.
not plaster.
excuse me,
More of a synthetic material.
Yeah, that arch is kind of like a screen of some sort.
okay, so it's sort of like,
There might be framing behind that.
We actually were able to
Yeah.
open, my contractor, while we were trying to figure out where the sign could potentially go, opened from the inside to make sure that we could get through and secure it there, and we could. It was the decision of, I don't remember who, saying, no, you can't put that in there. It's, it's historic. I agree, I didn't feel that it was, but it's not part of the original facade of the building, and the landlord is okay with it. So I would just assume have the scroll bracket sign that's up there coming out of that column.
Would you consider, rather than an aluminum tube, support, like a steel bracket is,
That's exactly what it,
would you consider, I mean, you can still mount it the same way, but it actually
Have something going.
matches the character of the other
decorative
brackets.
above the sign.
Yeah,
To look
rather
like
than a
scroll
tube
bracket.
that is straight and kind of minimalist and modern looking, it's actually like
The bracket, the scroll wouldn't be doing any work, but it would
Right.
be
it
there.
will, yeah.
Right, right.
Is that blue box the size of the sign you're looking at?
Yeah.
I'm so
Sorry,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Is that blue box that you have in your lap,
Yes,
is that the size of the sign?
Thickness.
it's the thickness, not the size. This is just.
I understand the thickness.
Yes, it is the thickness total. And it would be a dimensional sign per the requirements. It would have the logo as shown would be dimensional, 1/2 inch thick, for like onto each side of the sign.
Because that doesn't match the other signs in the, on the street either. I mean, most of them are all
Late,
blade signs
right.
of a typical or uniform.
Well, no, Le Petit Provence is that thick.
What?
Look at,
Yeah.
theirs is that thick.
What material is this blue thing? We usually,
Aluminum,
it's aluminum.
Yeah.
Oh,
We usually, well, like we've
Yeah.
approved like high
You
density,
wanna do
high
this
density
big metal sign?
yeah.
foam.
It's like an
Which is
acrylic.
Not what we're
It-
supposed
it
to be
mimics
allowing.
Wood almost.
Polypropylene
Yeah.
of some sort.
It's not in the sign
What are
guidelines.
you talking about?
Yeah. What does that sound? Urethane plastic or something?
It's basically, like a foam.
Yeah.
It's a fake wood. It's a foam, yeah, carved, usually a carved.
Photograph of the original sign that we were trying to get approved. To go into that column.
The round one?
It is an oval.
Oval, I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm missing the point of what column you're talking about.
Pilaster.
So there's a pilaster to the left of the ornamented vertical section between the two sections of the building.
This, you mean, right there.
Yeah, and they're flat
Well,
pilasters, and
on the
they are fluted.
Joe, only on the, and then on the left side of this only,
Right.
right? So there are
Right.
two with like a medallion inside,
Mhm.
and then there's another. It looks like a column, but doesn't function as a column. It's a,
Wait, so, and who said that
Are
you
you
couldn't
talking
do that
about
because
this
of the
one now?
historic
Right.
Yeah.
guidelines?
That and that.
The landlord.
No, the landlord
Yes,
said that
they
I
are.
could.
so like I'm talking about, this one is one, this one is another one behind the,
Mhm.
and then
Don't
another one.
remember.
These are
Yeah,
called
and then
pilasters.
there's
Yeah, it wasn't
one
involved
over,
in
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
and then that
Someone
one.
who came by the shop and looked
So
and
these
said,
may be
no, it can't
columns,
go there,
but
and
that's not.
Right.
suggested we should put it here on, and that, which actually turned out to be the window frame. So that's kind of how that,
Evolve.
yeah,
Was that, are you talking, was that my installer that you're thinking of?
no.
No, okay.
Except that, yeah, I mean, that's not at your entrance either. You're proposing to have it at your entrance between the two bays.
I don't mind it not being directly above the entrance. See, one of my concerns, and Cheryl knows this from the beginning, is we have the Petit Provence sign here, which is rather large, and there's, an awning so it hangs low.
Right.
And then we have the nurse wellness sign on this side. So where could I put a sign where it would actually be seen from both sides?
Mhm.
And we went through and, kind of tried a number of iterations. We were finding that the permitted size, whatever it is, hanging down, when you're coming up the hill, like from the hotel,
Mhm.
the Petit Provence sign covers it. You couldn't see it until you were almost past 515. And then if we moved it over, coming from the other direction, the nurse wellness sign was covering. So that's when, and the representative of the landlord was the one that suggested, hey, how about putting it up top there? I thought that was a great solution. So it'll be seen, it's not gonna be blocking anyone else's signage, but then
And what?
we were told that that's historic and that we couldn't put signage there.
Who said that again?
Honestly,
Yeah.
don't remember. It was
Doesn't
the
really
day-
matter.
It was the day of our grand opening, so I was a little.
Maybe it was a
There was someone from,
Maybe
they were from the historical
missed it.
board.
maybe it was a concerned citizen.
They're all down. I think.
Well, the dry goods. we would
Well, the
actually
nice thing is that you have these
up
signs that
tonight.
everyone
Took
will
this
see
picture,
in your windows.
Going
Yes,
that direction,
because one
I
of the issues that I'm
recognized
running
that
into
was
is people are
up-
saying,
because
oh, it's
there it
lovely.
is.
You know, your
And-
windows are lovely. What do you sell?
Yeah.
This one?
Yes.
So this was
So
the
there's-
original design that we were gonna put above in that column that we were just talking about now, above the. So,
And we had actually
around.
talked about having it on a scroll bracket.
Is
I'm
this
not
what they're
sure
saying is
how that.
historic?
Can you get past that over?
Sure.
Is this what they're saying is historic?
So
Well, someone is. Not
what is
them.
what are the brand guidelines? Where does this come from?
The brand guidelines for the macarons from their headquarters.
Okay, so this is a
As far as the
franchise?
colors,
It is a
yes.
franchise.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Colors and the logo, yes.
Makes me hungry.
They're so,
I think it's pretty.
All right, so pass it down.
eat a lot of calories in a little bit of time. That's
Are you open right now?
You could go get cookies on your way home.
If I don't, I would brought some.
Mhm.
Oh, you should have realized.
I'm good.
Okay, so if we did, if they had a sign with a scroll bracket, and it was, you guys are suggesting upside down?
No, no, no.
No?
What Nick
It's
is
like a gooseneck,
proposing
kind of.
is, you see how the sign sticks out? Well, the
Yeah.
scroll would be above and not actually supporting the sign,
It's
but
just a
Oh.
application.
decorative. So
That
and-
makes sense.
to me, that puts the sign down where it should be at
Mm-hmm.
the street level and not high and to the right. Sounds like baseball, right? But you know what I mean? And it gets the scroll,
the image of it.
the image of a scroll bracket.
Right.
It would be in the same line as this cornice then. The scroll would be in that depth of that cornice that's above the storefront.
Will
Exactly.
require,
Height requirement for the scroll.
Be nice if the scroll fit the highest part of the scroll next to the building were the same height as that cornice.
Or look at the dry goods and keep it in line with the dry good.
No, I'm talking about.
I
keep it
know.
low. I'm talking about.
Here, I know, but the height of the dry goods is higher than anybody else's.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what you're getting at.
The scroll would be then up in here.
No, they're going to mount
So-
it from underneath. The scroll is going to be in the same depth.
Oh,
as
in the
that cornice.
cornice. Oh, in the
What-
cornice.
what-
I thought
Huh?
the scroll
The
was going
height
to.
of the cornice.
So
I-
the top of the scroll would be at the top of the cornice.
So Joe has
All
a
right.
That's what I
question.
thought.
Hit it, Joe.
uh-oh.
Well,
Can you draw on here?
Yeah.
The
So,
drawing
so,
counts.
so you have a cornice, whatever the shape is. You have your mounting bracket that hangs out. The scroll is going to do whatever it does, but it's not going to get higher than that cornice.
it's not going to get higher than what?
The cornice.
That's a bad image, but she knows what I'm talking
He
about.
can do better. No.
Gotcha.
Oh, you just put in some effort, Joe. Come on.
I thought it was gonna have some swirlies in it or something.
Yeah,
Well,
really.
it
Come on,
should.
Some of them
Joe.
can be pretty basic, but I still think that it still has to have the impression
The character, I don't.
that the scroll
The
is.
scroll is not going to touch the cornice. It's purely
Are
decorative.
you okay with that?
It's floating.
Well, what's the sign gonna be? Is the sign gonna still be that big metal box?
Well, it's painted, it's black painted, so, it's gonna look like this, and it'll have the dimensional, all the items on here will be dimensional, sitting on.
Are the nurse wellness signs that same thickness?
Wait a second, excuse me 1 second, Cheryl. Can we go back to the original design that I wanted? That, I wanted an oval sign hanging on a scroll bracket.
Then you
So it would be mounted from the top then.
That's what she wanted, but
Doesn't look
because
good.
of, it has
I
to
know.
hang down, there's not enough room because we can't put the scroll bracket above the cornice for the lamp.
Yeah, but what's the difference in size of that sign and this sign? If this sign works and that sign is no bigger than this, then that one should work.
Does he not want the scroll back bracket attached to the building
Yes.
above that area?
Above the cornice, we have to be below the cornice.
Okay, so, but what Joe is proposing, I think that what Joe proposed, by putting the scroll on top of the bracket,
Right.
the scroll is not going to be attached to the building, the scroll is going to be attached to the bracket.
Yep, that's fine.
So
Yeah.
he should not object to that if it's just the scroll.
No, he won't object to that.
So then you have the scroll but how thick is the sign gonna be?
I only took those.
Thickness, meaning looking at the storefront, this thick.
The material thickness, yeah.
Here's
This
one.
thin. It will have 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, depending on the size of the letters, dimensional letters. That's it. This will be the thickness.
You can't make that smaller?
Or can't we have it like everybody else's sign that are blade signs that are a 1/2 inch, what are they, 1/2 inch thick, Joe?
Two.
I mean, Mike,
They're
2 inches.
2
2 inches
inches,
thick,
yeah.
This
And
is-
the,
this is
and they're not metal.
Yeah,
That's 2 inches thick.
that's 2 inches.
But a regular blade sign is not 2 inches thick, is it?
the stock is 2 and they route,
The stock is that thick?
they route it down.
Let me see, Joe.
That will be a box
Yeah,
of
no,
macaroons,
there you go.
please.
The scroll has nothing to do with supporting the sign.
It's just.
No, but at least it follows the guidelines of Main Street.
Right, which I'm all for.
Plus it plays with your
I
name.
have to
and-
excuse myself.
What do you?
It's fine. It's fine.
So the bracket
Yeah,
would be
it's good.
attached, the scroll would be attached.
He needs his.
Just
thing.
to the top of the bar, just to the top of the support bar.
It's supporting, it's just gonna be a decorative
Does that give you the,
on top of the.
And that will go in front of the cornice.
In front of the cornice, but
Okay, so-
yeah, ideally it would not be higher than the cornice. So it looks like it was made to fit. And then, in my opinion,
And
if
then
that
we can
oval
hang
sign,
from there.
if that oval sign is
Will be
no
better.
bigger than that,
Do the
that,
oval.
that oval sign will have to be hung from the top somehow, from
Right.
the bracket.
That's how that bracket came to be, because you were saying that in order for us to have decent size sign, we were going to lose inches by having
Well, the
scroll
the
bracket.
oval, in some way,
can be-
should slightly float below that bracket that sticks out. And again, our scroll is doing
You'll
that.
lose an inch, but you have,
But
you have
so
clearance.
you just need some hooks.
Right.
Yeah, even if it's just an inch. So as long as you have 96 inches under there.
Actually, I think that's how my sign is built. It's brownstone design. If you walk down the street,
Okay.
because it swings, and it's like that. That's how my,
good job.
good boy. You get an A today. You good?
So I think there's two things we have to act on here. One is what the mounting is going to look like. And then if she wants to change her sign to the oval, then we would just need to act on that.
So could that be done via email after this meeting?
I have a question before we go there. What would the oval be made of? The same material that you were just showing us?
Yeah, that was the original proposed.
It's the same 2-inch thick material.
It's 2 inches
2-inch
thick.
deep, double faced aluminum and painted black.
What is the thickness of Nurse Wellness?
2 inches.
It is? Okay.
Yep, it's the same exact thing.
That color, it's a little off.
You're talking about the Nurse Wellness sign? Or your,
No, I'm saying in that blue
In the
color.
blue, yeah.
yeah,
So what are your colors now?
So they are as shown in there, but the main colors of the brand are this cool gray, which is this color right here. I can pass this home if you want.
the Pantone colors are listed on there, right? They haven't changed? They haven't changed.
Nope, and I just have them like
Okay.
actual form versus.
And the sign background is black.
And the sign,
Yes.
yes.
And the bracket would be black.
And we would do the scroll bracket black.
Mhm.
If they can't decide, where is that image of the oval? Does anyone have a problem with either design as long as it's
Neither.
96 inches
I
off the?
prefer the oval, but
I agree. I do too.
Just want to confirm with the production team about the so we can do the oval. We'll do it.
It says cookies. It's pretty.
I have a request to make. I need to excuse myself. Is that okay with the board? We have quorum for voting, I think.
Okay.
Good luck with your project. Yeah.
thanks for your help, Nick.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'll get rid of that.
Do you want your vote to be counted as a yes vote?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
All right.
I'm supportive. Absolutely. I have no
Okay.
concerns.
All right.
But not as submitted, right? Like we have better
Right,
suggestions.
right, yeah, yeah. As like we talked.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move to,
We should start with the window decals first.
thank you.
Get those right out of the way.
Get the easy part out of the way. Thanks, Mike. To approve the window decals as presented.
I just have
There's
one question on
four.
the window decals because it's not on the sheet. What color are is the lettering? Is it a soft white, like bright white, soft white?
It's just, it's regular vinyl white, so when we print the vinyl, the pink is printed and the white is not, so it's just a basic white.
Because usually what he's getting at is we usually tone that white down.
It's
This
not a
is-
stripe. It's the opaqueness of the decal itself.
Yeah,
And then the paint is printed
and the
onto
text
it.
is pretty,
So it's going to have
the
a
stroke on the text is
pink
pretty.
undertone. Okay. Okay, you okay with that, Mike?
Yeah, just wanted to capture it.
Okay. And I lost my train of thought.
We were just the window decals as submitted,
Yes.
and then you were moving on.
To the sign to be oval on a floating bracket, not touching the cornice at all. The bracket will be black in color. So can I use this as an example then that how it was installed, the 2x2
Yeah. The mounting bracket will be installed as shown.
as
It will
shown
just have a
as
scroll on top.
in the application? Okay.
With a scroll on it that does not exceed the height of the cornice.
Right. And you're not doing any lighting or anything?
What was your question?
Lighting.
Oh. no.
Decal is a mainstay of the franchise.
Yes. In fact, they actually gave us those exact details.
That's fine. Good. Just wanted to double check. Yep.
Yep.
Good question.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, motion's been made by Connie, seconded by Mike. Window decals as submitted. Oval shaped sign, actual structural mounting bracket as shown with the application in black with a decorative scroll on top, not exceeding the height of the cornice above the storefront, and no lighting. Any further conversation? I have one thing.
I do too. So the oval is going to not exceed 36 inches
Or 21, right?
or 21.
Take that, just put it over.
Right.
All right, my only comment was she seemed to have questions about, she wanted to confirm if that oval could be manufactured. Just to be safe, do we want to approve either sign design?
I'm okay with that.
Well, if we,
With a preference for the oval.
For the oval.
Right.
yeah, just a quick question. If we do both, she's not going to be able to, is she still going to be required to hang the square sign?
Well, no, that one, well,
I don't know if there'll be much room there.
Cheryl, in the history of making the signs, do you think it's possible to make the oval?
I mean, I think so. I just don't want to, we've been through so many iterations of this sign, as you know. So I just want to make sure with my crew, but if we can do it, we will do it.
Okay.
Things like that. If it's structurally possible, to do it, yes, which I
Mike's,
think it is,
yeah.
but I am not the complete expert.
Mike's question is if we allow for the sign as shown, the more rectangular sign with a chamfered corner, not chamfered, cut out
Cut out.
corners, fluted, whatever you want to call them. Does that sign get mounted tight to the underside of the aluminum tube sign arm? Or does it actually get hung like we're saying the oval sign would have to get hung as well? Because then it's going to swing. This one is not going to swing.
I think it should swing. Everybody else?
Most of them are mounted the way you have to mount the oval
But that would mean,
with the chain.
yeah, that would just mean a change in the sign as presented. So it would have to be 19 inches or 19 and a half.
Well, not if it's got.
Oh, no, you said, right,
Excuse
you
me.
said 100 inches. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Does someone want to modify the motion then to clarify that either sign design is fine and both will be hung from the mounting bracket?
I will do that. Either sign is fine,
Okay.
but both will be hung from the mounting bracket.
I'm going to say the tube sign arm. Tube sign arm. Okay. Everyone clear on the motion?
Yes.
Roll call vote. Connie made the motion and amended it. Mike, you're okay with the
Yep, still
second?
okay with seconding.
Okay. Diana.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
You're
you,
good.
ladies.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much.
That was fun.
To clarify, once, do you need a new drawing? Do I need to?
Yes, I'll need, when you actually submit for the permit application, we'll need the, like, actual?
I submitted all at once.
Okay, so if then the actual, what you're actually going to hang, I'll need that
So
drawing.
submit that to Stephanie.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's, I didn't know who to go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're gonna, I mean, you may have submitted the engineering calcs for the arm and everything already, but that, I mean, that shouldn't change, just,
Okay, so we don't need to change that, just that.
Just if it's gonna be an oval and to hang and.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
okay, looks like.
Mr. Locher?
First, I apologize for being late.
Okay.
6 o'clock in my mind, but that's when the zoning board. Be brief.
One second. Yeah, 1 second. Let me get organized.
Have you met your new neighbor?
Yes. He's a captain in the Navy, stationed in Groton, Connecticut.
Huh?
28 years in the service, he's retiring. He's a pathologist by training, and he has a job with H&L Labs, do all the lab work for the hospital networks.
Oh, wow.
And his wife is a dermatologist. They have 4 young children, 11, 8, 5, and maybe a month old.
Wow.
So the house is being built.
That's
They're
nice.
doing everything they possibly can before they move in. Because I think some of the photographs say,
That's nice.
and then
Lots of kids will be laughing in your backyard.
Okay. Applicant, owner of the property located at 438 High Street, proposes to install a 4-foot-high by 14-foot long wood picket privacy fence between their property and the adjacent neighbor at 442 High Street. Fence will be painted white and will run parallel to the existing retaining wall. Proposed fence will match the existing fence and gate at the Wall Street entrance to the courtyard, and there's a photograph of that in the application. The last photograph. The fence in the back, correct? All the way. Yeah. Yeah, you went from living in the woods to being out in the open.
I thought the aerial photograph was particularly telling of what all the coverage was. I'm sure they're going to do landscaping at some point, but so far they painted the entire house inside and all the wood, all the shutters outside. They have rebuilt both chimneys. They have repointed brick, and the scaffolding went up today in our courtyard for the tear off of the slate roof. We are living their construction project.
Yeah, you are.
Temporary inconvenience.
Yeah. Be a good neighbor. And not a good neighbor, then bring these up. The other thing I would add, and I thought about this coming over here, one of the photographs shows looking out from the courtyard toward High Street,
This one.
and that one, and that's a stone retaining wall.
Yeah, I saw that.
The ground level for the next door house is just above that.
Mhm.
When the Cantalupos lived there, that was filled with all kinds of shrubbery and things. That corner of the 442 house is the only one that's not fenced. The backyard and the side yard are all fenced. And I thought it might be a good idea to have a fence there for safety reasons, so that these kids won't tumble off.
Mm-hmm. So then, Alan, is it going to be on the, the fence will just be snuggled up to the outside of
That's correct.
The outside of the retaining wall?
of the retaining wall, yeah?
And this is outside that 14, what you proposed, the 4-foot by 14-foot section? This is in addition to?
No, that is.
That's the linear,
Oh, okay. So this is the section where the fence is going, right here. Oh, okay.
that's it,
And it's just this section.
that's it.
Does it, how are you going to attach it? Is it going to be attached to this house at all?
I'm not planning on doing that.
Yeah.
and I already spoke with James Valentine, the new neighbor. He had no objection to it, and I made it clear that I'm not attaching anything. The retaining wall makes it like.
So then is the fence going to look like the gate here?
Yes.
Okay, at that same height then?
That's probably not quite 4 feet there.
Yeah.
But the fence is at the upper level.
Pardon me?
I mean, the fence
Proposed
is at,
fence
the
will be at the upper level.
fence is
Right.
at the upper level.
Excuse me.
But there'll be no gate in the fence section. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any problems with it at all. I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
I'll second it. How's it going to be constructed, Alan? Are there going to be 4x4s holding the fence up? What holds the fence up?
I'm going to talk to my son-in-law,
Uh,
William Robert Stoy IV, who was a contractor. He's the one who did the fence section and the gate on the Wall Street side. There were already 4x4 posts there. You just recycled them, but that's what I think I'm going to do. It should only need 3.
Yeah.
So you have a motion, you have a second, right?
Yep, motion's been made and seconded. Any further comments or conversation? Hearing none. Connie?
Aye.
Joe?
Yay.
And Mike and Diana made the motions. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Given the height, they don't need a zoning permit?
That would be your man right there to ask that question.
So the application that you'll fill out, called the application for permit, will be reviewed by both the building code official and the zoning office. You don't need any variance, it's 4 feet, you can go actually up to 6 feet in this location. So, 4 feet, that's 6 feet.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for staying too, and I apologize again.
No.
No
Good to see
different
you.
if you would have been here first or last. Same amount of time.
Yeah.
Good, oh, okay, we did the minutes.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We just need to adjourn. I guess.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
Motion made by Ike, second by Diana. I'll take her, then I won't have to change my notes from last time. All right.